All right. Welcome, mostly remote audience. Anyone got two people who are nice enough to pop in and listen while they're busy doing other things. Um, Phil, how you doing?
I'm good. Hello, world. I'm good, Keith. How are you?
Good. I feel like we got more exciting stuff to talk about than usual this week. Anything top of mind for you? Where to start?
I don't know. Maybe that's what scared people off this week. There's too many exciting things to discuss, so they felt
And
intimidated by the town hall.
yeah, exactly.
But no, I think yeah. Let's do just quick recap, and then we can kind of discuss what we're working on. Maybe review the diagram with Beat Noom.
Okay. Yeah, in my mind, there's the grant,
Yeah.
which Eric here actually alerted us to, so that's awesome.
Oh, thanks, Eric.
There's the Pi demo day that we were both
Mm-hmm.
at. Ended up being pretty cool, and then a few things that came out of that to talk about as far as like technology goes. I've got a demo of our new login that will hopefully be going out for testing pretty soon, and then yeah, we've got that diagram that we've been working on for Beat Noom that's helped us kind of uh, get a better view of the architecture and see like how we can like focus our efforts a little bit. Um, yeah, maybe we can even just take them in that order.
Yeah. You mean starting by the one you said first, or by the last one?
The one I said first, the
Yeah,
grant.
the grant. Yeah. I mean,
Um, yeah, I can pull it up here.
right here also the 2023 Data Futures Lab cohort call for proposals.
Yeah,
If there's
Mozilla.
anyone listening and who's curious, it's a Mozilla Foundation initiative, and I guess the section it's the Data Future Mozilla Foundation has a lab called the Data Futures Lab that's interested in new approaches to data stewardship.
Yeah, and it just sounds like right up our alley what we're trying to do, make investigating new economic models around data collection and also just the tooling around that's giving agency back to individual people. And let's see, there is a call on October 26th for questions, I think. So that'll be
Yep, there's a
interesting.
call. Yeah, October 25th. There's a Zoom call, a virtual info session, and then the deadline is on November 11th.
Yeah, so Phil and I will be putting together our application for that, and it's for 100,000 starting in January. If accepted, they accept 4 people or 4 teams. Um, and yeah, we're in active conversations about how to spend that. I'm trying to convince Phil that we should use it to hire him for the next for the next year.
So
Um,
I'm easily convincible for that. I just think there shouldn't be too much of that amount that's allocated towards my paycheck. But yes, John, I would do it for sure. And
so yeah, we should probably. So I know it's a bummer to like go through and figure out like how you're going to spend all this money and then not get it, but then I think the exercise is pretty good because this is just like one of many things that we'll be applying for. So it's nice to have a plan that everyone feels good about for how to allocate resources once we do it.
yeah, I think I find applying to those programs is really useful. Like I've done it before for other projects, and then it allows you to, I don't know, work on your mission, vision, product, and like narrow your vision to something that's, you know, maybe more feasible, or that it allows to create those short-term goals. I think this one, Keith, is really down our alley. I think I'll just read what they're looking for. They're saying there's a section called "What We're Looking For," and they say we will focus our support on projects which have existing communities of data contributors, which we have, and or are able to demonstrate effective capacity to recruit them and reach critical mass within the next 12 months. And then they're looking for the types of applicants or like nonprofits, co-ops, or other entities, DAOs, for example. Then, yeah, I feel like we're exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, and kind of evidence of that is when you go back to see last year's cohort, which I guess, this is the active year that they've been using the funds. You have Driver's Seat Cooperative, who we've already kind of identified as like a potential brother in arms company. It says they're in Portland, but then other stuff says they're in Milwaukee.
Yeah, they're in the US for sure. So
yeah. And what they do is kind of extract the data from for Lyft and Uber drivers, and then provide that for like use cases focused on the driver instead of drivers only being able to see what Lyft and Uber offer them. They're kind of like this driver focused data company, which is pretty cool. Like on their blog there, they do some analysis about like different payment policies that Lyft and Uber are like instigating, and whether it's actually like a good deal for drivers. Stuff that, Lyft and Uber would always make it look like a good deal for you, but there's actually some, it gets more complex than that once you dive into like depends on how long you're traveling and where you're going and your fuel costs and all that.
I like that Drivers Co-op is on there too, which is a project, an organization I really like. They're basically Uber or Lyft, but as a platform cooperative. So Drivers Co-op is owned by the drivers, and it's quite big by now. Yeah, you see like 5,000 drivers in New York. They're probably even more now. So it's the type of projects that I personally like. I'm not familiar with Place and Digital Democracy. At least half of them we know, and we know they're cool projects.
Yeah, and they kind of are working on problems that we're also working on. So I don't know. I'm pretty optimistic. I think we can put together a good app. So there's that. And if anyone listening comes across anything like this, grants that we might be eligible for, let us know. That'd be awesome. Looking for funding, but not the traditional VC kind.
I'll be back in a second. I'm just closing. Do you want to discuss the pie?
Yeah.
The time we spent at the pie, how would we call that? Infos, like demo day?
Yeah, so it's Pi is Portland Incubator Experiment. I've been a fan of it for as long as it's been around, which is over a decade, and it's focused on helping Portland startups. There's quite a few big names that came out of it, at least in the Portland community, but it's called Portland Incubator Experiment, so they often change the format from year to year. And then this year, which was kind of planned, like as COVID was like an uncertainty, they have their demo day being like a virtual thing on this platform called AirMeet, which actually turned out to be pretty cool. It kind of puts up a seating assignment, like you're at an event and there's like tables and chairs, and then there's like a stage in front. And so we were at like the Re-Public table. Just seeing if I can find a screenshot here.
To be honest, it was cool. I enjoyed it. It started off a bit quiet. It was Keith and I at our table discussing, and then I don't know, maybe a half an hour in or 20 minutes in, more people started showing up, and then it never stopped. People just kept on coming and being fascinated by what we're doing. Lots of questions, lots of enthusiasm for what we're building, and also many questions.
Yeah, and I was surprised, like it's indicative of the audience, like how quickly people digested uh, the vision. I did bring up the diagram at one point, and that seemed to help. But also, there were a few people who just kind of dove in, like asking questions about stuff that we were, talking about for like a year from now or something like that. And so that was cool. There was somebody there who worked with Inrupt. I think they were like a consultant for Inrupt in some capacity, which is the Tim Berners-Lee
Yeah.
data project. And so that person in particular had some good insights. I'm curious to like keep in touch with them.
I mean, I think what it showed me personally, what I took out of that is that people are there's awareness about the problem we're tackling. We didn't have to educate anyone. Everyone was aware of the
Mhm,
issues around their data, which is cool. It's nice that we're there. But then
mhm.
like the next step is the solutions. There's a gap between like what has to be done next and how to do it and is it possible and you know just showing people that there's an alternative to the current way data is handled.
Yeah, like one person really immediately saw the value and was like, "Oh, I wanted to use this to like figure out if I've how much stuff I've like double bought on like Amazon versus iTunes." And like um I bet this could like go back and find whether there's still services that I'm paying for that I've forgotten about or whatever. So everyone kind of like had their own uh thing that they wanted to do with their data, which was cool because that's kind of like the stage that we're at, is like thinking about different apps that we can seed on the app store and these different experiences. So I think those are going to stick in my head as like potential things to do next, like with iTunes purchase data, like Netflix. I think like Amazon data, Netflix, and I mean, I guess you could do iTunes if more people are like asking for it.
Oh, and John, I saw John just wrote a comment, which is yeah, I think John from working at Pool, there's like a consensus in the data space that health data is like just complex. Like I think it's like just stay far from health data is like the sort of consensus I've heard. Because I think there's a specific laws that apply to it.
Yeah, like I don't know if you remember that post. I sent it around at demo day, but early on I was getting advice from Ashley Reed, who is like she actually does the like audits and planning for HIPAA compliant healthcare systems, like as far as how the data is handled and stored and everything. And so um I think she and our partners Agora, who are specifically trying to handle health data, I think we have good like advisors as far as that's concerned. But also I feel like the way that we're trying to give users control over their data is not going to run afoul of any of any like reasonable laws. Like there might just be like some weird gotchas, but I think overall it's we're not trying to store any of this ourselves. We're just trying to be the broker of it.
Oh, and thanks, John. It would be nice to have him on the town hall just to understand what the issues around like health data are.
Yeah, I'll see if Ashley can come by too. One of these points. Then there is one other thing. Oh yeah. So somebody mentioned this
Yeah,
per keep,
our
which
friend, what's his name? He's from Eugene. I forgot his name.
Michael, well, I don't know.
Michael from Eugene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Michael from, yeah, we're chatting on LinkedIn. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, and this morning he just told me about another pretty cool infrastructure tool. So what's happening is, Republic's going to have to store a lot of personal data, or like, facilitate the storing of it for you. And data storage in the way that we would all want is pretty complicated. It's not really how anyone has built it in the past because of just Web 2 incentives. It's just like, okay, let's just bring all your data into our environment. And then like that's easy. And so now like thinking about the technology needed to just be to give you like the UX of like an iCloud or Google Photos or something, but where it's not actually on um, any infrastructure that's outside of your control. That kind of means that you have to replicate all of the cool like syncing and storing of stuff that those companies do like for the individual user. And so that Michael brought up Perkeep, which I had never heard about, which perhaps ironically was founded by a Google employee who was working at Google at the time and working on the Go programming language.
Oh,
But I went through their Linux Fest Northwest talk from 2018, and it's like a very elegant solution. Like it has me really excited about, they've tackled things that I didn't even like realize were going to be problems, and they've done it in a really cool way. I'm sure it's not the only thing, and it's kind of like it's relatively abandoned, but there has been recent activity on the code base, and they have like 120 something contributors, and before it was like started in 2013 or something, or 2014. So it's like a very mature product with like a lot of development behind it by a lot of smart people. So this week I was kind of poking around at that to see if the Republic app could just be like a front end for that, and Perkeep could kind of handle all of your data storage. So if you're interested, definitely go. And the talk is pretty technical, but if there are sections like why do this, or why we're doing this, and like what problem does this solve, that I think demonstrates that they're really aligned with how we've been thinking about things.
and Keith, can you tell me more about Perkeep though? 'Cause I didn't look into it much.
um yeah, so it's a protocol that they've consolidated it down to like a few command line tools. So like I could just do a command um to like start up a Perkeep instance. I should have done a demo here, but and then once you like put a file into the protocol, it like encrypts that. It parses it out into like all these small small blobs or whatever, and puts this layer over it that lets you just retrieve whatever you want, like from wherever, and it never like deletes any data. It just keeps track of like different versions and mutations and changes on it. So it's really like once you put everything in there, like um, you never lose anything. And they're specifically, says your data should be alive in 80 years, especially if you are this person, Brian Fitzpatrick's really thinking about his kids and their kids like inheriting data, and so he's built this to be as like um technology agnostic as possible. And so you can really use any service like Google Drive, your own like home server, like really anything to store the actual like blobs of data. And then all you really need is a front end, like they've built like a rudimentary web UI, but like the Republic app could just do this, could just be like the intermediate or between Perkeep. You would need a web server to like send things to and store stuff on. So it does kind of imply that like each user, we would need to spin up a web server for them or something, but there might be a way to do that just on the phone.
I'll watch the talk. I don't know if I'll how much I'll understand, but I'll check it out.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the code examples. Let me see if I can have their slide deck here.
Is the project still alive finally, or not? Like,
No,
what's the goal? Where did he just like stop working on it? Or...
well, people are still working on it, but it looks like it just doesn't have any leadership or
Okay.
support. So it's mostly just people who adopted it like during its 8 years of development and who worked on it. Like they're still using it in their own projects, and so they still update some stuff occasionally. But they do have this idea of like an importer, which is something that we've talked about. So
Mhm.
they kind of have a spec and an API for writing an importer. So they have a Twitter one that's built, and like the founder uses Swarm for like Foursquare type check-ins. So he built like his Swarm importer. But just having that framework of like a tested way to do importing and have it interface with storage like saves us a lot of time from trying to
Mhm.
like rethink that and rebuild it like ourselves if we wanted to adopt this. So you could imagine like a Strava importer. um it already pulls in like geographic metadata from all your tweets and your check-ins and your photos. Um, and there is an Android app that's very like, these are like hardcore backend people who don't do any front end. They say several times like we suck at front ends. So if anyone has a front end that they want to put on this, and then so basically Republic could be
Yeah.
a front end to this. So these are they did a Flickr importer, a Google Photos importer, which is good because Google Photos is not built to let you import very easily. Plaid is a huge banking API provider, which can bring in
Yeah.
your banking info.
They have a Strava one?
That's a requested one. That's kind of
Oh, to
interesting
do.
to
Okay.
do. Yeah, but there are some people asking for that. Um, see if there's anything else. Yeah, some of these pictures kind of demonstrate where they're coming from, where it's like gives this example of like you go to if you want to build a table and you go to the lumber yard and like the tool, get some tools at the hardware store, and then you build it, and like you don't have any further relationship with, your table isn't dependent on those two places that you went and bought the equipment at. So if they go out of,
Yeah.
go out of business, then like you still have your table. And like that's how it's worked with technology in the past as well, when you actually like bought discs at the store. but now everything goes to services, and that makes you a sad face. You don't have the disc, and so this is kind of showing like all that stuff can still go to those services, but then it comes back to you, and your disc is like the per keep
Yeah,
instance.
John, I love it. I also love those slides.
Yeah, it's really good, and I didn't know this term, but it's good to know. Publish elsewhere, syndicate to your own site, pesos. And then what's that?
Oh no, it was just my reaction to the pesos term.
Yeah. There's another one, because they talk about how like this, even still, this isn't the ideal. Like ideally you would go to your own disk first and then go to the services. And that's like that was the end goal of per keep while they were working on it, but this was kind of like just to get your data back to begin with. So yeah, I was just getting really excited having these people have been working on this stuff for a long time, thinking in the same way that I am, and then having like an actual open source tool that we can potentially use.
What did it say? No delete?
Yep, it's so there's ways to like sync stuff and deduplicate things, but I think rightfully that should all be handled by like the software. Like nobody wants to, basically you don't want to worry about what you stored where, right? It's like put everything into a big bucket and then just know that it's going to be stored securely, and then you can find what you're looking for. So yeah, that's this. They have a sync validation. So like if you've got your stuff stored in like many different places and one gets out of sync or whatever, then when you do go to sync it, it kind of validates that for you and fixes it.
Hey Keith, I see there's someone else joined the call. I think it's Ivan. Maybe.
Oh yeah, is that you, Ivan?
Yeah. Hi. Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Good to see you. Good to hear from you again.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I kind of fell off the rails. I had like some family issues, but then I'm back on track.
No worries at all.
Yeah, I have some updates. I'll probably post separately to you personally. So I just wanted to kind of make sure we keep the thing going.
Yeah, we've been keeping the thing going on our side also, Ivan.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's just
slides are amazing.
Yeah, how long have you been listening in? I was just kind of looking at the slides.
Like 5-7 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Started from the warehouse and the table.
Oh yeah. This is a tool called Perkeep that we just found out about, that's not actively developed, but I'm gonna kind of play around with and see if we can use it for data storage with Re-Public. Because you just get a lot of great stuff for free. That's kind of what I'm talking about here, like sync validation, lots of nerdy stuff that you just would expect from a data storage solution, but most open source tools will not give you. It's like you got to homebrew it. So a lot of this is exciting for me, but not necessarily anybody else. But they handle very large files. It's a very And then one of the coolest things is you get search on top of this, just like for free, which is like a next. That's a whole deal as well. Not only like their built-in search, but they have like a spec for, you know, how to customize your own search for your own needs, which is a huge time saver. Let's see if there's anything else. Oops.
John dropped a question in the chat. Then I guess if Ivan's around, we could show him the diagram we built.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know how this compares with Solid. I still have that on my list to kind of dig into. I've joined a few of the Solid communities. I just haven't dove in yet. Oh, this is pretty interesting. So I think if you go to opencollective.com/perkeep. Anyone ever heard of Open Collective?
No.
They're trying to let open source projects be financially supported by their users and supporters, and so they kind of handle all these financial things for you. Like you can see all the transactions like that people have donated, but then also like the expenses of the team.
Oh, cool.
And so it's like a very transparent way to everyone can see like all the money and how it's being used, and can also just subscribe at whatever
That's
level
cool.
they want. Yeah, so it might be worth just putting this out there. I think we need to have our repos actually like public before we can do this, but that's like a good incentive to get the documentation going and everything. All right, yeah, do you want to go over the diagram?
Yes, sir. Ta-dam.
Wow.
That better not have been sarcastic. No, yeah, it's like a slight modification on you know, the one that we were showing you earlier. I did send this to you. Did you look at it at all, Ivan, or is this your?
No, it's my first time. You wrote a message that like checked out this diagram, and then I didn't see the link, so
Oh, okay,
and I just got free. So
no problem.
okay, so
So we're kind of, to follow this like oil metaphor. John, hopefully you like this and prove these are, if the devices here are like data sources, then you kind of have these pipelines that are like these the APIs that these companies build. And if they don't have them, you know, this is something that Re-Public would create a pipeline for, build that software, and then those feed into, you know, our native mobile apps and desktop apps, and those apps handle this. I should put like per keep here maybe, or like per keep would be in between here where you could go from per keep to any of these services. And so that kind of gets you the permanent storage, but then once all this stuff is kind of taken care of, then you can build apps like BeatNoom on top of it via the Re-Public SDK, which will give you access to, you know, a user can show up to BeatNoom, authenticate with Re-Public, and then have BeatNoom be able to read all of their Fitbit, Suunto, Garmin, Strava, whatever we put in there, all of that data. And it's kind of TBD whether, Beatnoom wants to handle the abstraction of, okay, just show me the user's individual data sets for each of these, and then Beatnoom will handle, collating all that into one like experience, or whether, that's something that,
Well, for like and Bitnam user, there shouldn't be like a difference between between those sources. It's
right.
like it's endpoint. It's just like I'm interesting if there is a is the Bitnam kind of end source, or Bitnam can then move data like back, to like, let's say from Strava to Garmin and vice versa. So it's like, is it the end stage, or is the kind of the hub that that can forward the data somehow?
Yeah, like let's take
This
a
is
run.
this is the data flow, right? I'm just kind of trying to think of like the user kind of flow from data perspective.
Well, the user shouldn't really
This is not for the user yet. It doesn't care about like
any
how
of
it is
this,
sourced.
right? So like they come to Beatnoom, and then Beatnoom says like, do you have, like, which one of these do you have? And then user will choose one or more of these, and then Re-Public kind of takes over and authenticates that for them and starts like a Re-Public repository for them for their data. That might be opt-in, maybe it's automatic. It doesn't really, like, Re-Public's never going to see that, so it doesn't really, it's no downside really for them other than just somebody else is doing something. But
so for let's say for Bitnam to state that your data is kind of securely held, do you have to mention that it's stored on like Google Drive, or if you scroll down, whatever this are the others, like how how do you state like that? Okay, our data, your Strava or Garmin data is stored securely on Google Drive, or
yeah,
okay.
I think that just comes down to like UX research. Like, do Beatnoom users care about that? Is it just
I think, well, the kind of the user experience, the initial idea was that your data, like the storing of your like sports data is the kind of this a selling point for Bitnam users. So it's like it's there for whatever happens, like whatever happens to any of the sources, like to Strava or whatever happens. So this is why the initial idea was to store this data on blockchain.
Right.
But
yeah.
I mean, whatever gives this experience of having like initial access to your data whenever and wherever it works. It doesn't have to be like any like blockchain technology. It can be any cloud. It just has to be, transparent.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, I feel like user association with these storage companies is going to be pretty like temporary. And so it could be like a Re-Public, part of the Re-Public brand that like,
so it is like
it is
your data is stored by Re-Public, which is a like data repository or like data. Okay, this makes more sense than just like Dropbox, which is
because if you say Dropbox, then maybe that means
people just I'll just make a screenshot of my Strava app and put it on my Dropbox, which is kind of a way. I just, literally I was in Manchester this weekend, and I was running my half marathon. I did my personal best, and I was like I was training for this for like 2 years. I was trying to do this for 2 years, And I was so happy, but like I was happy for like 5 seconds, and then I was like, okay, what if something? Because I'm a bit biased, you know, I've been thinking about this too much, and I was like, okay, what if something happens to Strava? And I actually like sincerely did a screenshot of that, like of my personal best. So at least I have like a JPEG. I'm a little bit,
in some
annoyed
ways that's
now.
like the best you can do right now.
Yeah, it's not perfect, I would say. It's not like it's not fantastic, but then it, I don't know, is it just me because I was thinking like, okay, you know, what if I don't have access to my Strava, and how do I prove I did this? And then so this is like a pretty precious time for me. It's not like huge, but it's pretty good.
Mhm.
For myself, I've been striving for a long time, and like I want to keep it safe. I want to make sure that it is exactly safe as my money, because I'm not actually sure about my money though, but then at least
This
I
will
want
probably be safer than your money when it's done.
to on Strava.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would be happy to store it on my, you know, ledger, like,
Mhm.
and that will, you know, that will give me like it's a pretty precious. I mean, I've earned it, and I've been working hard for it, and I mean, why not, you know, why not have it in a secure place, and why not have this feeling, okay, I mean, I own this.
Mhm.
So yeah, I might do something like this, but like from, you know, basically moving to the right, like more from user side, like what it gives to the user, how the user sees it. Obviously, the user will see, okay, this is Bitnum, and it is powered by Re-Public, and now my data is processed and stored by Re-Public. Okay, but what can I do? How do I store? How do I, you know, what's the dashboard? What's the user interface? What do I see? What can I do with this data apart from just like flexing and showing off?
Yeah. So, I mean, my thought is that Beatnium can just make the claim, you know, we store this like permanently and securely, like you don't have to worry about ever losing your data. And then Beatnium can make the decision of like whether that it's a value add to say, we do that via Re-Public, like we're powered by Re-Public, and you can go investigate there, or whether, you know, Beatnium users don't really care that Re-Public's involved. They just, you know, trust Beatnium, then, you know, we don't even need to be mentioned necessarily. But then you can just give the options to people to kind of dig in as much as they want to like, oh, okay, Re-Public's storing it, but like, where are they storing it? And then, oh, I see, I can choose like, you know, they're storing it at their like default server, but if I want, I don't, you know, I can move it to Dropbox or.
Well, I think if you claim like as if Bitnum claims that, okay, we you don't have to worry about your data anymore because we are, you know, we're using Re-Public base for that, and then if people want, they can discover Re-Public, and then Re-Public explains itself and explain what it does, how it processes the data. I don't think anyone would think, you know, okay, this is just something strange. I would store it on my Google Drive instead. It's like saying it's stored on blockchain. You don't have to go, okay, what protocol is that? You know, what layers are, you know, people don't do this. It's not like, you know, what's the, you know, what's the network, what it is built on. It doesn't work like this. So I think Re-Public seems as a respectful provider here.
Yeah, and we're gonna try and build that brand too. So hopefully it's like, you know, we're both kind of pumping each other up there.
Yeah, that's the symbiosis, exactly.
So is there something in that you're not seeing here, or like what are you not seeing, or
No. From like data storage perspective, that's exactly how it works. I'm thinking about, like, you know, because I'm a marketing person, I'm always thinking about like the client side.
Yeah.
So how clients see that.
And
So that's my side anyway.
yeah, do you have anything to update about like the status of Beatnum, or do you want to
No,
give
I
a
just got back. I just got back from kind of my family meeting, and I'm taking this weekend just to recover, and then I'll be moving forward from Monday.
cool? Yeah, understood. Phil, did you have anything else that you wanted to?
Yeah, I have something very important to say. Congrats on the PB, Ivan, man. I know how
Yeah,
important it
yeah.
is.
Thank you. I was because I was to say the least, I was a bit disappointed about my kind of family loss. I didn't expect anything. I was just kind of I just want to run. I knew my kind of what I had to do, but I wasn't planning. I wasn't sleeping properly. I wasn't eating enough, and I was just like generally like very tired. But when I started, I ran first 10K. I was like, okay, I still pretty fresh. I can push a little bit, and then actually the last 5K, I was just flying. It was an amazing experience. So I did like a half marathon in an hour and 29 minutes. So it's like less than 90 minutes. For me, it's like an amazing result.
Man, that's good. Sub 1 hour 30. It's a big step. Congrats.
Yeah, it's like, psychologically, it was a big step for me because I was like trying to be on other side, and I had like for a couple of years I had this goal, and now I just quit sports. I don't need it anymore.
Exactly. You can retire in peace.
Yeah, no.
Well, no, you can retire in peace because there's no Beat Noom Republic, so that result is still in danger, but soon
Yeah.
everything will be all right.
Yeah, well, exactly. I want to record my result with Bitnum and then retire.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, great.
Great. Yeah.
If there's
Um,
nothing else to say about this, I got a quick demo we could do.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say next. That's why I hadn't
Like break.
left. Demo login.
So let's see. So there's a service called Web3 Auth that I've been playing around with, and they're basically trying to allow you to use any of your existing accounts to get authenticated on your device, so that you can like have like a private key, like a wallet, but you don't actually have to set up like a MetaMask. So it's a little complicated how they do that, but I've integrated it here so we can just see. So I take feedback on this language here, but log in with email or social, and then
So it's like basically custom MetaMask for any product, right?
yeah. So this is one bummer. You have to kind of go outside of the app, but you hit continue. And then you can white label this a little bit and customize how it looks. But this is like the default look, and I'm just going to log in with Twitter, and all I do is tap Twitter. I'm logged in on my phone, so it finds that, does all the authentication, prompts me for two-factor. I'll say next time. And then this is the bug that, it goes back to the login screen, but then once that's fixed, it'll just go back to the home screen, and you'll be logged in. So just like 2 taps really. And you don't have to like enter in an email or anything. Which I'm pretty excited about.
Sweet.
That's
So once I
pretty
fix that bug, I'll send that out to people to test. So I want to get more of a formal testing workflow going, but maybe now is not the time. So if you've tested before, I'll send it to you.
I shall test.
I shall test. All right, that's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get going. I have to go and run if I want to beat my next PB.
Yeah.
Who
I haven't
who
lit a
runs in the
fire.
evening? Who runs in the evening?
I run in evening. I do with the club I train with our workouts on Tuesday nights, and then it's Saturday morning, Sunday morning. Yeah, I'll do. It depends.
I only
Right.
run from 6 a.m. in the morning, and now it's like beautiful because it's like dark and you don't see people and it's just solitude.
Yeah, but I don't know. I find it hard to find motivation when it's dark.
It's
I
like
have to get.
I once I heard a very good like saying about like running, and like in general it was about running, but I use it for running. Like when you before the run you feel sorry for yourself, you don't want to do this, and then the saying was like you will feel sorry for yourself anyway, you just kind of start running. So just start running with this kind of being sorry for yourself, and as soon as you start, you know, you don't care anymore, you're all wet and angry and beautiful.
Yeah, the hardest part, exactly. It's always starting. I do enjoy doing the morning. I feel like stomach wise, it always feels good. Like when you're in like on an empty stomach, or you've just had like a piece of bread or a banana, it feels good.
I'll take your word for it, everyone.
Thank you
I'm
for
not gonna
trusting us,
tell.
Keith.
Yeah. Sounds terrible, but I'm glad you guys enjoy it.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Thank
have a
you.
good
Thank you
weekend,
so much.
everyone.
Thank you. I'll drop
Yeah.
you everyone a note on Monday on my what's my plans and what I'm working on. Thank you so much, guys.
Take your time, Ivan, and talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.